and welcome to School Matters. Thank you for joining us for today's special edition where we're on location at James Love Elementary School. In Cleveland County Schools, our elementary students enjoy a special program thanks to the Department of Defense, Starbase, and students enjoy hands-on activities related to STEM and some wonderful education. So today we're on location at James Love Elementary School with Dr. Jason Parker, Director of Elementary Education.
We're pleased to be joined today with retired Major Dan Cloninger from Starbase Charlotte. And Dan, you have been an incredible friend to Cleveland County Schools for many, many years. Our partnership with Starbase Charlotte is just phenomenal. We thank you for that. Interestingly enough, our Board of Education has recently updated our strategic plan, and now opportunities such as Starbase and other STEM opportunities are squarely in our strategic plan. So we hope our partnership can continue for many, many years to come. So we'll get started today. For our viewers who may not be familiar with Starbase, could you explain what Starbase is and the mission and the vision of the program?
Sure. Starbase is a Department of Defense, now Department of War funded program, 100% through the Department of Defense. We're a STEM education program, primarily focused on 5th graders, but we also do programs 5th graders up through 8th grade. And we just want to spark that interest in STEM. But at the same time, since it is a Department of Defense program, also have sparked a little bit of interest maybe in military service. And so what we do when schools come to our program, we combine some of that together, the STEM education as well as the interest into the military. Where we give a tour, we arrange logistically a tour with the C-17 aircraft at the North Carolina Air National Guard. And for some students, that's the very first time they've ever been on an airplane.
That's right. And I've got experience with Starbase as a former teacher, former principal, and now in my current role. But the C-17 definitely is a highlight of the week. We're so glad that you do that for our students. But what are some other things in the Starbase experience that really make it special and unique?
I think it's the hands-on activities that we do. So Starbase is a national program and it has a national curriculum. And we take that national curriculum that we're required to teach and tailor it to the North Carolina standards. And so when you come to the program, now we do have some things that are not in the North Carolina standards, such as CAD and robotics, but we do tailor that to the North Carolina standards, and we do see improvement in these test scores, especially in the 5th grade, when they have come to our program and have that immersive experience with hands-on. More than 50% of our instruction in each class is hands-on in a group setting.
There certainly is never a dull moment in the week of Starbase. So we're recording this at James Love, and you guys have just come in from the rocket launch outside, which is very exciting for not only the students, but for the staff and maybe even the principal to see that happening on the campus. But take us through a typical week. So when you say the Starbase experience for a 5th grader, what does that mean?
So, well, even before that, we actually work with schools or work with the county and determine the schools that would come to our program and really benefit from the program. And it is a application-based type program. And once we get the schedule built for the next school year, the schools will come in on a Monday morning, come to the Charlotte Airport at the North Carolina Air National Guard Base. And we immediately, as soon as they get off the bus, we are immediately rolling into STEM instruction. And we have 5 hours of STEM instruction per day. That does include lunchtime and breaks and things like that. And then they come back for the next 4 days. And for this year, actually on the 5th day, we come to the school to do one class of Newton's laws of motion and do the rockets. We do have approval to do that. Starting next year, we will not be able to do that. But it is exciting when we have those classes. When we're talking about physical and chemical changes, we do, like I said, the Newton's laws of motion. We have navigation and mapping. We have a lot of things that really are not just science, but we also have the math involved. We also try to work in a group setting, so we're talking about partnerships and be able to communication within the group. And we also look at English, and we try to cover all the subjects. We really do, because we just don't want it to be science and math or even engineering. And so that's the best that we try to do with the students.
And I know Starbase is really a national effort, so to speak, but I will say that Starbase Charlotte is very special to us. I want to give you some opportunities to maybe brag on your staff, and what would you say makes the Starbase location at Charlotte Douglas very special?
So Starbase Charlotte actually was one of the 5 original Starbase programs in the country. Started in 1993, and since then, even back in the mid-90s, I was involved with Starbase. When I was in the military, I was a C-130 navigator, and worked in weather as well. And I was able to give those tours like we do now with the C-17. I was able to provide those tours on the C-130. But the staff that we have are former teachers. They're all are currently certified or have expiration of their certification. So they have the education experience primarily in a STEM area, not always, but that is preferred. And we have a staff of 6. We also have teaching assistants. We have a nonprofit that provides funding for teaching assistants. And those teaching assistants, we have 2 that are current loadmasters on the C-17. So those students get to see not only people in uniform on the base, but they're actually in the classroom, and they get a little bit more, find out a little bit more about the military by interacting with them in each class.
And I'll say, having been a former principal in the district, when you have a child that's on a C-17 sitting in the pilot seat and the actual pilot is sitting right there beside of them, that is incredibly unique. For many of our students going to Charlotte these 4 times, it may be the first time they truly leave Cleveland County and see skyscrapers and hear planes landing and taking off all day. So other than the C-17, what other interactions with National Guard folks or what other things take place on the base?
So many people don't know that the North Carolina Air National Guard falls under the state control unless they're federalized. So we're actually a program of under the Adjutant General of North Carolina. We're one of his youth programs is what it's called. But with that interaction on our hallway where we have the Starbase classes, we also have military offices. So not only do the students get to see our teaching assistants and the aircrew members on the C-17, but they see security forces. They see our IG office. When they're outside, they may see people walking around in uniform. So they kind of get an idea what it's like on a military base. Even though the North Carolina Air National Guard base is not an Air Force base per se, like an active duty, it is very similar on a much smaller scale. But they see the C-17s taxi and take off. Just yesterday, on Wednesday when we did the C-17 tour, both classes got the C-17 taxi, take off, and then the second class actually got to see it land when it came back 2 hours later.
Wow.
So you have that interaction.
Incredible.
A lot of times when there's flyovers done at the Charlotte Panthers or Carolina Panthers, sometimes those planes are parked right there, so you get to see other aircraft as well instead of the C-17. They may get to see an F-35 or 2 come
cool.
in. Yeah.
I used to be a 5th grade teacher back in the day, and I think targeting 5th graders is so important because they're 5th grade students at the age where they're starting to think about
Absolutely.
What do they want to do when they grow up. So do you have any special stories about students who may have gone through Starbase and later came full circle and actually are serving now?
Absolutely. We have many who joined the Air National Guard, and their experience was with Starbase. That's how they got interest in the military. We also have had students that we've heard about that have gone on and have done careers in the STEM fields. We were at a school a couple of years ago. Actually, it was away from here. We did just a week-long program up in near Mount Airy in that area. And the music teacher there actually went through Starbase when she was in 5th grade.
Wow.
And it's a small world. I mean, from our location, that's an hour and a half away, almost 2 hours away. And we have the music teacher there who actually went through Starbase.
That's incredible.
We do have, we're starting, we're actually obviously at the time where we're starting getting family members now. I did teach school for a few years. I've had some students of mine, their families now or their children now coming through Starbase. And there's a principal I work with. Her brother-in-law was one of my students.
Wow.
And so, it's a small world.
Lots of second paycheck opportunities for you, I'm sure. So, well, it's just been incredible. So, when you see the excitement of the students outside just before, which I think some of our viewers may see as part of the episode here, that is incredible to see.
Yes.
Really the world and a lot of different things come to their campus, and really just the exposures we've talked about during the week. So. Any big plans for Starbase moving forward?
So every year is a different year. It brings us unique opportunities, and we are funded by the government, so that's always a hurdle that we sometimes have to cross with our funding. But we're excited. I absolutely love seeing the students come through, and even this morning when we're doing rockets, I had one of the students come up to me and says, "My oldest sister launched rockets last year. She still has her rocket." And I love hearing stories like that. I love just like my older brother or older sister or my mom or dad or one of those things. It is one of those experiences that you will not forget as a fifth grader. I know if I had this opportunity when I was in fifth grade, I would never forget it. And I love to see sometimes the light bulb come on with the students when we're doing certain lessons. It's just, we get more joy out of that than anything.
Yeah, and you did mention the academic payoffs. For our viewers who may not be aware, fifth graders take a huge science test.
They do.
And it covers a lot of material across the standard course of study, and force and motion really is heavy with the
Yes.
Starbase curriculum. And we've had great dividends to come back in Cleveland County from our partnership with you all. So anything else you want to share about Starbase that makes it special?
No, actually, I'd like to appreciate Cleveland County. Without the support of you and the county, a lot of our schools, and especially the Cleveland County schools, would not have this opportunity. So, it's been a pleasure working with you and working with the school board, working with the schools.
Dan, thank you for sharing so much about Starbase. Anything else you want to add about your program or anything else for our audience?
Absolutely. First, I want to thank Cleveland County. Thank you. Thank the school board and the Cleveland County schools, and obviously the administrators and teachers, because without the administrators, teachers, and your support, we wouldn't exist. We need the schools to come. We do have waiting lists, but I think that our partnership with Cleveland County Schools is strong and would only get stronger, and I look forward for that to continue to happen. We absolutely love Cleveland County, and the teachers here are very eager to come to our program. One of the things I hear at the beginning of the year is that, hey, we're scheduled, right? We're scheduled, right? You got us on the schedule, right? And so they really enjoyed it. I think the teachers sometimes enjoy it more than the students.
I agree.
But it's very exciting. And again, thank you for allowing us to have that partnership.
Absolutely. We'll continue this as long as you'll have us, and the partnership goes two ways. So we appreciate your help with us and really honoring the work that our folks do here. They want to do it right. So
Yes.
thank you so much, because it's a complete value add to our science curriculum
Absolutely.
in the school system.
Chef Paul Prudhomme once said, "You don't need a silver fork to eat good food." Well, on Cleveland County Kitchen, we don't have a silver fork, but we sure do serve up lots of good food. Hi, I'm Deborah Blanton. I hope you'll join me for the next Cleveland County Kitchen. Each month, we offer a complete farm-to-table experience. We visit local growers, we learn about nutrition, and wrap things up with wonderful meals prepared by our guest chefs. It's a lot of fun. I hope you'll join me for the next Cleveland County Kitchen.
Hey, loser.
Leave me alone.
When a child shares hurtful comments online, that's bullying. Visit erasebullying.ca to learn how to help your child stand up to cyberbullying.
Glad to be joined by Dr. Greg Shull, principal of James Love Elementary School. You're in your second year, I believe that's correct. Second year you've sent fifth graders down to Starbase. Good times. Your students just finished up with rocket launches, and the best thing about being here for the rocket launch today was seeing you playing fetch.
Yes, so I was able to, thanks to the upgrades that you've made to these massive rockets that you're shooting out of these things. The engines, whatever you're putting in there, it's probably like an old M80 or something, but it is going way up, across the road, into the yard, and I have to trespass to go get it. But thankfully, I know the neighbors, they're really kind to us, so we didn't lose but one rocket. It's somewhere yet to be found.
Well, we knew you needed the exercise, so that's why we did that.
Well,
we did it on purpose.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Great things. If you're coming by James Love today, you saw some rockets flying in the sky because that's the culminating activity to Starbase, which is what we're highlighting on this episode. So, Dr. Shull, I know that your kids come back super pumped from spending the week at Charlotte Airport and spending the day here with Dan and his team. Just curious, as a new principal in our district, what perspective you may have for Starbase, hearing teachers, students talk about it when they come back.
Well, let me walk you through the first thought to the last thought. So first thought is, a field trip to Charlotte? And then, of course, what comes with that? Traffic and mess and all the good stuff. Well, then they start coming back from this field trip, and they're super, super pumped about it because guess what this aligns with? Force motion and all this other things that we're doing, especially in science, but our math teachers are enjoying it. Our language arts teachers are enjoying it when they're going because, like you said, you've kind of tied so much together.
Right.
But they're coming back super pumped. Last year when they came back, I think we went maybe in the end of February or March. So they got to go back and look at some of the standards that they had already learned. But right now we're kind of still in the middle, kind of tail end. So it was a good culmination to this point. So now we're going to kick off the second semester, and they're going to be super thrilled, ready to go.
Awesome.
I think they were so excited. I believe it was you, Dr. Shull, telling me that, was it the first day you had perfect attendance and on-time arrival by every student? Was that right?
Which is never on a regular day.
So that shows the level of enthusiasm they had. And I think Dr. Shull's team this year here at James Love did a great job of pre-teaching everything force and motion. So when they came down to you all, hopefully a lot of background knowledge was already there and you guys could really add to it.
It's a lot of reinforcement.
That's great.
That's also reinforcement.
Makes a lot of difference when
Absolutely.
they come to you having that background knowledge. So, Dr. Shull, you got an incredible relationship with your kids here. Just curious if you had any student maybe to have shared some specific things that they learned at Starbase and maybe how they're going to apply that to their adult life maybe.
Well, specific is interesting when you're talking to elementary students. So Egbert, zip lining and egg and things so they talked about the teamwork and how all that kind of went together into getting to play with that. Of course, then the C-17 was just a huge hit. That was one of the things that most of the guys come back and was like, this was really cool. I got to go through this, and I mean I know how big it is because I've seen these, but until you're there in person, it's a whole different level of experience. But from a learning perspective, they kind of when I pinged them on some questions, they said, that was really neat. So I think it was the hands-on experiences.
Well,
that
the Egbert is probably our most excellent class that we have.
Very exciting.
Yes.
Well, and Parker, one thing that's I think notable with everything is this is relevant experience.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, it's got the rigor and all the good things and all the buzz terms, but the relevancy of your hands-on, you're getting to see what you've learned and then apply it and learn a lot while you're there because let's be real, there's a ton of learning that happens while at Starbase.
And a lot of times they don't know they're learning.
You're tricking them into
You're
it.
tricking them into it. No, there's a learning going on, and they don't realize they're learning because there's a lot of fun involved as well.
That's what we say a lot, especially back in the early days when we brought Starbase into Cleveland County. We got a lot of, oh my gosh, I don't know that I can budget a week of time to go to Charlotte for Starbase. And of course, my instant response is, it's not really a field trip. It's learning on wheels. It's learning in a new environment down there. So that kind of segues into our next question, Dan. You've talked a lot about the relationship you have with Cleveland County, but let's say someone not from Cleveland County Schools is watching this. What in your opinion, can school leaders and school teachers do to really prepare students to maximize the experience at Starbase?
Well, obviously it starts with enthusiasm. And a lot of times it's not hard to sell Starbase for one reason, that it's free. It's no cost to the school other than transportation cost. And you sometimes will not find that with a lot of, especially when it's a week-long opportunity in what we do. It is, like I said, 100% funded by the federal government. And so that right there will get schools interested in it real quick when there's little to no cost to the school or to the county. But just the word of mouth and, just and we have a social media presence and we have a website. And so when they see that, they I get emails all the time from around Charlotte area, even outside the Charlotte area where it's too far away for us. We do have another location in Wilmington, And so we have some Eastern North Carolina presence, but the word of mouth and just the that spread of the word, just it's amazing the information that some of the emails I get from around the state. And we have pretty much touched every county in the state at some time in the last 33, 34 years.
It's unreal. That's Starbase Charlotte, we were talking about that earlier, has quite the reputation, and I think every time a group of students goes, they come back, they tell mom, dad, that thing, and I think the excitement naturally just grows.
And to continue that excitement, where parents are involved, is that when we do the Rockets, parents come out and watch, grandparents come out and watch, and so when we see a large crowd, that's a telltale sign of, we're doing a pretty good job. The kids are excited. They're going home telling parents, and we get feedback. One of the things at the end of the week is that we ask for feedback from the students and from the teachers, and we incorporate a lot of that feedback into as much as we can. And and when we see that where it says parents said the students have come home and talked about this program, that makes us feel pretty good.
Should.
For sure, because it's better than, hey, what'd you do at school today? Nothing.
Nothing.
You're like, oh, let me tell you. Well, and what we also did today, we had lower grades come out and start checking out what's happening. So they were super amped. They're cheering on the fifth graders if they're launching their rockets. And guess what they will want to do now?
Yep.
They're ready.
There's an interest there. We see that at pretty much all the schools that we go to. The fourth graders come out, third graders come out, and they're like, oh, I remember this from last year, seeing this last year. And so there's that, hope. I'm hoping we get to do this, so. As well as the teachers.
Well, and in typical elementary fashion, after the rocket launches and they run and they catch it and they have a good time, they go, "Smell my rocket," and I'm like, "Ooh, wow, what is that?" And then they start talking about it. So even more conversation, a lot of fun to be had.
Exactly.
Right. Well, this next question may be tough for both of you, but I think it's a good question to kind of draw this episode to a close today. But there's all kinds of great things about Starbase. You've mentioned kind of how the week unfurls. You've mentioned what students and teachers come back to school and really talk to you about. But if you both could say the one thing that you would want the audience to know, understand about Starbase Charlotte, what would that be?
I would say it's so very unique that it can't be replicated, not in Cleveland County.
Nope.
And that alone and what's offered, it's just like one of those things that you've always craved and wanted to do, because once kids go, they always want to keep talking about it and they want to go back, and we want to keep going back. Because it's in a little bit of an investment from a school, but it's a lot of investment from you guys because you put a ton of time in, but you also came to the school on a Friday and did rocket launches. So we're 4 days to year one, and it was awesome and amazing, and we had a blast. But I would also say, the alignment that happens, the intentionality that has went into the curriculum alignment to create the fun, it also helps our teachers kind of see, hey, we might can be able to do some things like this in our classrooms to continue that fun and that engagement. But if I had to go back to one word, the relevancy of it all is what matters most, because that piques their interests, and then they come back more and more. So you just handed it to the teachers on a silver platter and said, hey, second semester, you got it.
I don't know if I can add much
quite
more
the
to that.
answer, Dr.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add much more to that, but I would say that we're an established program, since 1993, so we've done something right in Charlotte. The Wilmington program's been around a little bit, not quite as long. The Starbase program nationwide, long as the funding is there, we're going to be here, and we want to see the students to succeed. We want to see that STEM interest. And one of our mottos is that we don't teach for mastery, teach to spark that interest. So obviously it's up to the teachers.
All right, thanks, Dr. Shull, for your one thing to remember about Starbase. I'll turn the focus over to retired Major Cloninger. But what's the one thing you want our audience to remember about Starbase?
Well, one thing about Starbase is that we've been around a long time. We've had an established curriculum, and it's been tested and proven, and especially when we align it with the North Carolina standards. And as long as the funding is there, we are going to be here. We're going to have that partnership with Cleveland County. When we talk about funding, we do have a nonprofit that helps support us, and that has been key for us. So, if anyone has any interest in that, I would love to talk to them about how they can donate towards our program, because that donation would only lead to helping Cleveland County students, and which is key. But yeah, we love what we do, and the whole staff I love what I do. I've been around the Air National Guard since 1989, and I have to say Starbase is probably one of my favorite things to do around there. I flew all around the world, traveled to many different countries, but fulfilling Starbase is fulfilling to see those students come through.
That's what we said earlier, a lot of second paychecks,
Yeah,
right? Well, it's been awesome hearing both your perspective, Dr. Shull, and your perspective as well about the intricacies of Starbase and how a lot of the behind the scenes come together to offer students this wonderful week-long experience that is hands-on, a lot of relevant things there to do, but they come back kind of charged up, ready to go and tackle the remainder of their science curriculum. So thank you so much for both of you for sharing your perspective today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us today for this special edition of School Matters. We'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Deb Harden, host of For Your Information. The goal of our show is to educate and entertain you about all things pets throughout Cleveland County. We have various guests joining me each month to talk about dogs, cats, pigs, whatever kind of pet you can think of. Also each month, we will be joined by some furry friends looking for their forever homes. For Your Information each month, right here on C19 TV and online at www.c19.tv.
I wanted to be in the military since I was a kid.
I served in the United States Air Force.
I served a total of 16 years.
I was deployed 13 times.
On my second deployment, 4 bombs hit my vehicle.
And at 19 years old, that's the first time I ever saw somebody die.
Coming back, I was raging.
I started having pretty horrible nightmares.
I would wake up in the middle of the night, sweats.
I started drinking a lot.
I felt worthless.
I guess I never recognized it in myself.
Eventually, one day I just walked into the VA hospital and said I'd like to see somebody.
Don't suffer alone. You gotta find that link with somebody that'll make you let it go.
It all starts with going to the VA. There's a whole community of veterans that just want to help you out.
It's for the guys who couldn't come back, so you owe it to them to live well, because they're not here with their families.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. The sounds of tutoring and tech and health and fitness and arts and music. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.